We're joined by golfchannel.com senior writers Rex Hoggard and Ryan Lavner. Ryan, I want to start with you. Rory McIlroy began his press conference by asking a question. What are y'all going to talk about next year when you don't have him to talk about coming up short at Augusta National? So what are you going to talk about next year?
Can Rory go back-to-back? And can he continue on this parade in the major championships? I did think it was fitting, and that was sort of the story that I wrote for golfchannel.com on Sunday night, how the Masters began, the 89th Masters began with the press conference with Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, and Gary Player all picking Rory McIlroy to win. In other words, heaping even more pressure on a player who has felt nothing but that since 2015. And Rory capped it, of course, by asking what we're going to talk about next time. I mean, the burden has just been exceptional. And I think that's why, guys, this Masters resonated like any other. Just talking to friends, just talking to family. Obviously, the turbulent round had something to do with it, the heroic shots and the head scratchers. But the stakes we have not seen in any major championship round, a round that consequential since I think Tiger Woods going for the Tiger Slam in spring 2001. Like, you think Rory's going to have other chances, but he really hasn't in the Masters, 2011 and 2018 when he played in that final group with Patrick Reed. And so the potential for this sort of being all or nothing for a generationally great career just made it incredible theater. And I'm glad that we're probably going to have something else to talk about in spring 2026.
And it's amazing how one hole can completely reshape Rory's legacy going forward. Rex, we were touching on the Masters yesterday. We'd love to just get your sentiment on where this stacks up among best Masters in your lifetime.
I mean, you immediately go back to Tiger Woods in 2019. I think that's probably the best cop, just from the excitement level on property, the patrons on property, sort of the buzz, the energy. As Ryan pointed out, when you get home and you start looking at your text messages and the phone calls, you start realizing that everyone was paying attention to this, even people who aren't golf fans. They have an understanding of how important this was. And then the reaction, I think, is the part that got me. I drove over to Hilton Head on Monday morning from Augusta National, and I was listening to some sports radio talk shows. And even the talk shows that normally fixate on nothing but football or baseball or basketball at this time of year started their shows and ended their shows with Rory McIlroy. That walk from the 18th green all the way up the hill to the clubhouse, I think that's going to be one of the most iconic walks that we ever see, as you just watch the emotion and everything that he's been through over the last decade just come rolling out of him.
Rex, does the burden now shift to Jordan Spieth, since if we're talking about guys with three legs of the career slam, it feels as though Mickelson's moment has passed in the US Open. Jordan obviously looking for the PGA. That perhaps doesn't come with the same burden of trying to get it at Augusta National, but do you think that narrative will pick up a little pace around Jordan Spieth now?
I think so. We were just talking to him about it just this afternoon. So certainly the media is going to start asking about the idea that, okay, you're on deck, you're next up at the PGA Championship. I think there's something to be said for the idea that Jordan's probably not playing his best golf right now. His form is off. It seems like that particular golf course, Quail Hollow, is not a great fit for him, so it seems unlikely. But when you put it in context, and that's what I tried to do on Sunday night for golfchannel.com, the idea of a lot of people were going to skip past the idea that this was a career Grand Slam. But you need to keep in mind, this hasn't been done for 2.5 decades. Tiger Woods did it last. As you pointed out, only 6 people have ever done this. This is the highest achievement, I would argue, you can ever have in golf. And so once you start thinking about it that way and you realize it's not linear, Rory McIlroy taught us that you would have thought that after you won the Open, got the third leg, that the fourth leg would be easy. Well, a decade later, we learned that it's really not. I think it's going to be hard for Jordan to get over that hurdle. I tend to agree with you. It's probably easier to get at the PGA than the Masters, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Lav, Jordan aside, or you can pick Jordan if you're so inclined, who would be the next guy to complete the career Grand Slam?
I like Xander Schauffele's chances. You look at the 2 major championships that he has not won. The Masters, he has a great record there. And the U.S. Open has actually been his best major championship record when you look at it to his career to date. Still very much in the prime of his career. I like the way that he's trending as well. Would not still be surprising if Xander Schauffele picked off a major championship in 2025. I think Jon Rahm, I mean, pre-live, I would have thought it was a foregone conclusion with the style of game that he had, the generationally great status that Jon Rahm was certainly sort of trending in that direction. I would have said he would definitely capture the career Grand Slam throughout the course of his career. Now I'm not so sure. I think the past year and a half has sort of shaded and colored my expectations for Jon Rahm a little bit. Has all the talent in the world, But I think these next couple of years are going to be important for him to at least pick off one of those before he gets, sort of too late in his career.
Ryan, Shane Lowry finished his round of the Masters Saturday night, didn't finish it well, and immediately starts getting asked questions. Were you watching Rory McIlroy in the group behind you? Which Shane didn't take kindly to, for good reason. He actually said he didn't mind talking, but they should have a 30-minute cool-down period after a round of golf. Do you agree?
To be fair, Shane Lowry was watching Rory McIlroy. I watched him. Shane Lowry teed off on 16, and then when Matt McCarty hit it in the water, Shane sort of sidled up to that lone tree behind 15, put his hand on his hip, and was watching very intently as Rory McIlroy poured in the eagle putt on 15. So I did think that was a very fair question to ask him. 30 minutes is probably a little bit too long. I was talking with some international journalists at the Masters. They said that's very similar to what tennis has. And some tennis players can take anywhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes before they have the adequate, quote unquote, cooling off period. And he said it was a train wreck in every respect. I think 10 minutes, 15 minutes is perfectly reasonable. Phil Mickelson did this countless times throughout his career where he just took a little bit longer in the scoring area before he then met with reporters. If you are going to have that mandatory cool-off period, I think it also has to then be an obligation. Players cannot just force media to stick around and then say, oh yeah, I'm not talking. So I think there has to be a little bit of give and take in there, but I absolutely would not mind a 10 to 15 minute cooling off period. That would then put golf more in line with other team sports, and I think that's perfectly fair and reasonable to expect.
Yeah, Lev, that would pretty much mimic, I covered NBA, NFL, pretty similar there, where you'd have a 10 to 15 minute cool-off period before they'd open up the locker room, and then you're able to go in and let guys settle down a little bit. To the news of the day, the PGA Tour Rex going with the distance measuring devices in competition for this 4-week run. They're testing the implementation of a shot penalty on the Korn Ferry Tour and other satellite tours. Your thoughts on the steps they're starting to take in addressing pace of play?
I think I'll echo what Scotty Scheffler said early in the day about it. And I think a lot of players are probably echoing what he had to say about it. The DMDs, the distance measuring devices, aren't going to do much, if anything at all, when it comes to pace of play. It will be interesting whenever the tour develops the list that Gary Young was just talking about. However it is, they put those numbers together. They will identify the fastest and the slowest players on the PGA Tour. I think all of us, not just in the media, but in the public, will want to see that list. I think that will go a long way. But as it applies to the DMDs over the next 4 weeks, 6 events, we've done this before. We did it in 2017 on the Korn Ferry Tour. Not a lot of data there to suggest that it sped up play. They've been doing it at the PGA Championship the last few years. Again, not a lot of data there to suggest that's going to help. There's things they can do to help, but I don't think this is it.
Lav, while Rex is actually working this week at the RBC, you've obviously returned to your compound in Nocatee, Florida. I'm just curious if you think there's still a schedule cadence issue here. Should the PGA Tour have a signature event the week after a major, given that a major is a pretty exhausting week for most of the top players? We're going to see that again later this year with the Travelers also comes after the US Open. Is that something the Tour ought to look at, having a little breathing space in there?
Yes, and I would even go so far as to say that I think there should be a week off leading into a major championship and a week off after a major championship. That gives sort of the time for the hype and the expectation and the excitement to build leading into a major. And then I think you have a proper debrief to reflect on what just happened. I'm totally in agreement. I don't think the signature event model works leading into a major championship, as we've seen over the past couple of years, and having it after 2 major championships this year with Hilton Head, which I know is sort of a working vacation for a lot of PGA Tour players, but also the Travelers Championship as well. I would just love to see a little bit more space to let the major championships breathe on its own. And I think it also heightens the signature events on the PGA Tour as well, where they're not sort of afterthoughts with the major championships either in front of them or behind them. I think they would even be heightened in significance if they were sort of standalone events as well.
That's true. Come on, a week off before and after. My thoughts on that take. It's terrible.
You're taking 8 weeks out of the schedule right there.
Mr. Vacay here, Ryan Lavner, wants 8 additional weeks off on the PGA Tour. Come on.
This is part of a wholesale schedule overhaul that I would have, where you're starting the PGA Tour schedule later in mid-February, so you do have a couple extra weeks to work with, and you lop off some of the summer events. that don't quite resonate with the golf public.
Ryan, you work for a 24/7, 365 golf network. We got programming to fill. We can't eliminate 8 weeks through the PGA Tour schedule. What are you saying here, bud?
We could have so much drama build up. Think of all the storylines. I mean, we would be absolutely exhausted by the time that Monday of Major Week rolls around. But think of the hype and anticipation to be off the charts.
Rex, I don't know how you put up with this guy. So if you're in the market for a podcast and more takes like that with Ryan Lavner, then make sure to go check out the Golf Channel podcast. Rex Hoggard, Ryan Lavner, always good to be with that duo. If you miss any of Golf Today, you can find our best interviews on the Golf Today podcast, and be sure to subscribe to the Golf Channel YouTube page as well.